The food waste is defined as a decrease in quantity or quality of food. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, the food waste has been significantly increased from the 1900s when there was an industrialization of agriculture. It is also closely related to the globalization, as there are more kinds of foods are available everywhere around the world. Every year we are wasting approximately 1.3 billion tons of food, and unfortunately, it is gradually increasing every year. So how are we wasting so much food? Food waste can be divided into four steps of food chain: production, food processing, retail, and consumption. In the process of production, farmers in developing countries, such as the African farmers, experiences a loss when they fail to have a successful cultivation due to their inferior skills and equipment, while the American farmers are struggling with pests and unpredictable weathers, and these cause up to 6 billion pounds of crops loss even before harvest. In food processing, microorganisms and pests are the issue. They reproduce inside crops where extreme heat and humidity are constantly present. Such infestations eliminate the nutritional and caloric values of crops that lower the overall quality, and it might be difficult to reduce such losses because of the storage place's environment. Then farmers have to lower the quality of their products, which most people are not willing to buy. The next step is retail. One of the causes in this process is because of the relationship between buyers and sellers. Although it is not easy to balance out the demands for both buyers and sellers, retailers try to meet the reckless consumer behaviors. The retailers often tend to set their product requirement higher than they need in order to fulfill their stores. The retailers often tend to set their product requirement higher than they need in order to fulfill their stores. Moreover, sellers only want to get or keep the products that look bigger, more lustered, or prettier for better recognition of their stores. Later, they throw them away when the appearance of products turns bad or the products become out of date. These actions create almost 7 billion pounds of product wasted each year in the US from many different stores. The last is the consumption. Surprisingly, up to 20% of food waste accounts for consumptions, and it is said that some people waste 1/3 of all food purchased. Nowadays, consumers are blamed for food waste and the world population is increasing. It is predicted that we will need 60% more calories every day to feed 9 billion people by 2050. We must fix our bad consumer behaviors and have more self-conscious of food waste. Now, this graph shows that the point at which the private marginal benefit intersects with the private marginal cost is greater than at the point at which the social marginal benefit intersects with the social marginal cost. This means that the quantity consumed is greater than the socially optimum quantity. The difference between the two is the dead weight loss, creating due to market inefficiency. Furthermore, food waste brings more loss from other sectors. According to the World Water Assessment Program, more than 20% of fresh water is used for food production, and 45 trillion gallons of water is wasted every year. Now, what is the government doing, or what should they do? On September 2015, the USDA and EPA has announced their goal to reduce food loss and waste by half by the year 2030. By such action, the US can feed the hunger and protect the environment. Also, Trump administration recently launched the Winning on Reducing Food Waste. It is a signed agreement among the USDA, EPA, and FDA to impose better educations of the impacts of significance of the food loss and waste. Such initiative requires cooperation from government, institutions, environmental organizations, and communities. Tim Lang, a professor of food policy at a City University of London, has a different point of view towards food waste. He argues that it is a symptom, not waste, because there is no waste in nature, and he gives an example of an apple. When an apple is dropped from a tree, it will turn into other life form, which is dissolving the waste, whereas it will be a completely different story in a city. He points out extended negative externalities of economic inefficiency of investments of newer techniques and mechanisms. The professor mentions that the food industry is aware of this situation and they have done several great efforts to cut down this waste. But at the end, the waste is piling up. Why? Because it is just a symptom. In addition to that, he criticized the food system and producers. From 19th century, people wanted cheap food and get cheap labor cost, which then the food is made in low cost. He questions the true frugal when you are encouraged to eat unhealthy foods and the costs on environment and healthcare. As it turned out, it is not the consumer's responsibility for food waste when companies spend billions of dollars on advertisements, and maybe it is easier for politicians to blame consumers than fixing the broken system. To sum up, the food waste has been a headache since the industrialization and globalization. Small movements from individuals can contribute to the food waste can make a big change. However, it can be more effective when politicians and governments enforce laws for food disposals so that producers start prioritizing this issue over their profit, and government can subsidize campaigns to acknowledge people rather than negative advertisements that we see every day.